Welcome to today's transformation dive here on Earn Flow Zone, where we unlock the strategies for financial freedom and personal growth. Ever feel like you're playing a game of financial whack-a-mole and the moles are winning? One minute your bank account looks okay. The next, poof, it's gone faster than you can say unexpected expense. Yeah, we've all been there. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content that cuts through the noise and helps you actually build something lasting, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think in getting this message out to others who need it. Also, drop a comment below with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win. I love hearing from you all. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. All right, let's talk about that feeling. You open your banking app and you flinch. Admit it, you've been avoiding it, haven't you? That familiar knot tightens in your stomach because the number staring back at you isn't what you thought it should be. In fact, it never seems to be. It feels like a perpetual mystery. You work hard, you put in the hours, the paycheck hits your account with a satisfying ding. And then, poof, where does it go? It's like watching your money perform a disappearing act right before your eyes, and you're left holding an empty hat. You tell yourself the usual stories, right? It's the cost of living. Everything is so expensive now. It's inflation. That invisible tax is eating away at your purchasing power. It's the unexpected expenses, the car repair, the vet bill, that sudden need for a new appliance that seems to happen with alarming regularity almost every single month. And the go-to thought? If I just made a little more money, then I'd be okay. That, my friends, is often the very first lie we tell ourselves when we look at that dwindling balance. Because here's the hard truth, delivered with the tough love you came here for. It's not just about how much comes in. While income is crucial, for many people struggling to get ahead or even just feel stable, the primary culprit isn't a lack of earning potential. It's the invisible drain, the spending decisions you make on autopilot. These are the ones you don't even register, like background noise in your financial life. It's the death by 1,000 small, unconscious transactions. The daily coffee you barely remember buying. The impulse click while scrolling through social media. That subscription service you signed up for during a free trial and completely forgot about. Now let's be clear. These individual expenses aren't the reasons you're not a millionaire overnight. A $5 coffee isn't single-handedly ruining your life. No, but they are the undeniable proof that you're not in control of your money flow. You're acting like a passenger in your own financial life, watching the scenery and your hard-earned money whiz by without a clear destination, without a hand on the steering wheel. You wouldn't just hop in a car and drive aimlessly, hoping to end up somewhere great, would you? But that's exactly what happens with our money when we're not paying attention. And here's the surprising insight, the kind of truth bomb that shifts everything. This isn't fundamentally a budgeting problem. You could create the most beautiful, color-coded spreadsheet in the world. But if you're not aware of where your money is going before you put it into categories, it's just wishful thinking. At its core, it's an awareness problem. It's a lack of intentionality behind your spending decisions. You are not consciously directing your money. You are reacting to habits, impulses, and convenience. So here is your first, immediate action step. It takes just 60 seconds. Maybe less. Right now, close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Now, honestly, picture where you think every dollar you spent in the last 24 hours went. Don't judge yourself. Don't get anxious. Just observe. Mentally trace your steps. That coffee? Lunch? Online purchase? Gas? Toll? Observe the gaps in your memory. Where does your mind go blank? It's probably a bigger portion than you realize, isn't it? This simple act of trying to recall begins to build that crucial awareness. It's the first step from being a passenger to becoming the driver of your financial future. Okay, so maybe you've been there. You heard the advice, track your spending, downloaded an app, wrestled with a spreadsheet, maybe for a week, maybe for a month. And honestly, for many, it felt tedious, restrictive, like being stuck on a financial diet where you're constantly counting every calorie, dollar. It felt like punishment. Or maybe you just didn't like what the numbers showed you, so you quietly, or not so quietly, stopped. You're definitely not alone. It's a super common experience. But what if I told you, tracking isn't actually the point. It's not about the act of logging every transaction. That's just the raw data. The real power, the real insight tracking gives you is understanding the exchange. Think of every single dollar that flows out of your life as a tiny unit of value you're exchanging. You know you had to exchange your time, your skill, your effort, maybe even a bit of your mental energy to earn that dollar in the first place. You created value to bring that money into your life. Now you're taking that earned unit of value, that dollar, and exchanging it for something else. Here's the absolutely crucial question, the one that unlocks a whole new level of financial awareness. What tangible or intangible value are you really getting back for that exchange? Is that spontaneous $7 lunch, however tasty, really giving you value equal to the hours you worked to earn that $7? Is that subscription you barely use consistently giving you value that justifies its monthly drain? People often underestimate how much they trade their hard-earned value for things that bring minimal or fleeting returns. It's like trading a rare, useful tool in a game for a flashy but useless cosmetic item. You did the work to get the tool, and you just exchanged it for something that doesn't help you win. Here's where it gets fascinating. And a little surprising. Most unconscious spending, that money that seems to disappear into thin air, happens precisely because you haven't consciously defined the value you expect to receive before the transaction. You're not making intentional exchanges. You're just making transactions. You see something, you want it or think you do, and the money is gone before you connect it back to the value you earned to get it. The surprising insight is that the habit isn't tracking. The powerful habit is pausing to consider the value exchange before the purchase, or at least reflecting on it right after. So, let's put this concept into practice right now, moving beyond just the raw data of tracking to the insight it provides. Your action. Look at your last 3 non-essential purchases. Be honest. Think coffee runs, impulse buys online, subscriptions you might forget about. For each one, write down 1. What you bought. 2. The cost. 3. The actual value you received, e.g., brief pleasure, utility, experience, convenience. Was the value received equal to the value exchanged, the money? Be brutally honest. This simple exercise isn't about judgment. It's about gaining clarity on what you're truly getting for your burned value. You feel it, don't you? That sudden, undeniable pull. You're scrolling online, walking past a store, or maybe just chatting with a friend who mentions something cool, and bam, you see something you want. It could be that new gadget everyone's talking about, a piece of clothing that screams you, tickets to a show that's selling out fast, or even just a fancy coffee maker. Because, well, coffee. The desire hits, and it hits hard. It feels urgent, like you simply must have it. And you must have it now. Your brain, the magnificent rationalization machine it is, kicks into overdrive. I deserve it. It's not that much money in the grand scheme of things. I've been good. I can afford this. I'll just save a little extra next month to make up for it. Sound familiar? This, my friends, is the battle royale between your present self and your future self. Your present self is the one grabbing for that shiny object, chasing the dopamine hit of instant gratification. They're like a toddler in a candy store. See, want, grab. Your future self, on the other hand, is the responsible adult dreaming of bigger things. Financial security, freedom from debt, that down payment on a home, the peace of mind of a solid emergency fund, or the thrill of watching investments grow. Every single time you cave to that urgent, non-essential purchase without truly considering the value exchange, you are, quite literally, borrowing from your future self's potential. You're exchanging future power, freedom, and options for a fleeting moment of present pleasure. It's like your future self is trying to save up for a rocket ship to financial independence, and your present self keeps using their savings to buy lottery tickets. Here's the surprising, slightly inconvenient truth, grounded in behavioral economics. Your brain is hardwired for immediate rewards. Our ancient ancestors needed that instant payoff. Finding food now meant surviving now. That wiring is still with us, making it incredibly easy to prioritize the quick win over the long-term gain. You need a conscious strategy, a deliberate interruption, to give your future self a fighting chance in this rigged game. Without a plan, instant gratification usually wins because it's the path of least resistance. It's like expecting to win a marathon by just showing up at the starting line without ever training. Your brain is already running a different race entirely. So what's the action? How do you put a speed bump on the highway to impulse purchases? Try this. The very next time you feel that powerful urge for an urgent, non-essential purchase, let's set a boundary at anything over, say, $20 to make it manageable. Stop yourself. Before you click buy, before you hand over your card, set a timer on your phone for 1 hour, just 60 minutes. During that hour, your only job is to think about the value exchange. What future goal, saving for a big purchase, paying down debt, investing for retirement, building your emergency fund, could this $20, $50, $100, or more be exchanged for instead? Visualize that goal. Feel the security or the excitement it promises. Ask yourself, is the momentary pleasure of this purchase worth delaying that future benefit? This one habit, this simple pause, changed everything for me. More often than not, the intense urge diminishes during that hour, or you make a profoundly different, more intentional choice that honors your future self. Give your future self a voice. They're trying to tell you something important. You pride yourself, maybe even a little smugly, on being incredibly frugal. You are the champion of the lowest price, always scanning for deals, clipping virtual coupons, and navigating sales like a seasoned pro athlete. And look, being mindful of price? Absolutely brilliant. It's a cornerstone of smart money management. But here's the twist, the kind that makes you pause and rethink everything. Obsessing over cheap can actually end up costing you more in the long run. It's a financial paradox that catches countless people off guard. You know the pattern. You buy the cheapest pair of shoes because, hey, they're only $30. Fast forward 3 months and they're falling apart, needing another $30 purchase. That's $60 for footwear that barely lasted half a year, compared to potentially investing $80 or $100 in a quality pair that lasts 2 years or more. Or think about that budget tool, the drill, the wrench set, the blender that breaks mid-project, leaving you frustrated, delayed, and still needing to buy a new one. Now you've paid twice, plus lost your valuable time and patience. You chose the slightly cheaper option that is less efficient, forcing you to exert more effort or take longer, draining your energy and attention. The classic example is so relatable it hurts. The $30 blender that sounds like a jet engine but leaves chunks in your smoothie, barely surviving 6 months. Contrast that with saving for the $150 blender known for its powerful motor, durability, and ability to pulverize anything. The expensive blender lasts for years, consistently makes perfectly smooth drinks, and saves you from wasted ingredients that the cheap one couldn't handle. The initial price difference seems huge, but the cost over time, considering replacements, wasted resources, and sheer frustration, tells a completely different story. Here's the surprising insight that challenges conventional frugal thinking. Value isn't merely price divided by quantity. It's a far richer equation. Value is price divided by its utility, how well it actually works for its intended purpose. Its longevity, how long it reliably serves you. Its quality, how well it's made and performs. And critically, the impact it has on your most precious resources, your time and your happiness. Buying cheap often means sacrificing one or more of these vital factors, leading to hidden costs that erode any upfront savings. It's like trying to bake a gourmet cake with the cheapest low-quality ingredients. You might save a few dollars at the grocery store, but the final result is disappointing and wasted effort. This isn't about spending excessively. It's about spending wisely. It's shifting your focus from the price tag to the long-term return on your investment. Whether that investment is in a pair of shoes, a kitchen appliance, or a tool for a hobby, your action step this week is simple but powerful. Identify one area where you consistently opt for the absolute cheapest option. Maybe it's kitchen gadgets, clothing, tools, or even consumables like batteries. Next time you need to purchase something in that specific category, pause. Instead of automatically grabbing the lowest priced item, take 10 to 15 minutes to research a slightly higher priced alternative that is known for its quality, durability, or efficiency. Read reviews, compare features beyond just the price. Calculate the potential cost savings over time, factoring in how often you've had to replace the cheaper version. More importantly, consider the benefit to your experience. Less frustration, better results, more time saved. This one habit of consciously evaluating value beyond just the initial price can fundamentally change your definition of cheap and significantly improve your financial flow. Okay, so you've probably been laser-focused on cutting costs, saving fiercely, maybe even wrestling with those impulse buys we talked about earlier. That's absolutely crucial. But here's the surprising twist. The flip side of the earn flow zone equation: strategic spending. You see, while we're all conditioned to fear frivolous spending, many people swing too far in the other direction. They become so afraid to part with any significant amount of money that they penny pinch on things that could genuinely act as rocket fuel for their future or capacity. They'll spend hours doing something inefficiently to save a few bucks, or skip an opportunity that could unlock massive growth, all because they see the upfront cost as a liability, not an asset. It's like trying to build a house with a rusty spoon because you don't want to buy a hammer. You're technically saving money on the tool, but you're losing massive amounts of time and effort, and the end result might be wobbly. This is where the mindset shift happens. We're not talking about buying a new gadget because it's shiny. We're talking about buying power, not stuff. Think about it. Paying for a high-quality online course that teaches you a high-demand skill in AI or digital marketing? That's not an expense. It's an investment in your future earning potential. Investing in a high-quality piece of equipment, maybe a faster computer if you're a freelancer, or a better camera if you're building a content business, that makes your work significantly faster and more professional. That's literally buying back your time and increasing your capacity. Hiring a coach who helps you break through limiting beliefs or overcome a major obstacle in your career? You're investing in your own psychological and strategic infrastructure. Even paying for therapy to improve your mental well-being, which impacts every decision you make, including financial ones. That's investing in the health of the CEO of your life, you. People often underestimate the return on investment when you invest in yourself. These aren't just outgoing payments. They are exchanges for increased value, capacity, and potential within you. The surprising insight is this: smart spending on things that genuinely increase your ability to earn more, save more efficiently, or live a higher quality life that actively supports your long-term goals is one of the absolute highest return investments you can possibly make. It's like leveling up your character's core stats in a game. It makes everything else you do easier and more effective. You might balk at a $500 course, but if it helps you add $500 per month to your income within a year, the ROI is astronomical. And yes, sometimes these strategic investments feel scary because the price tag looks big next to your current savings. But that's precisely the fear you need to learn to distinguish from genuine risk. Is it a necessary tool or just a shiny object? This is where you need to get brutally honest and strategic. Your action step right now is to brainstorm one area where a strategic investment of money, even if it feels like ask yourself, what is holding me back from earning more, saving more, or being more effective? And could money solve that specific bottleneck by increasing my capacity or removing a barrier? Start researching the actual cost and, more importantly, the potential return on investment in terms of time saved, income gained, or improved well-being that fuels your hustle. This one habit changed everything for me, shifting spending from consumption to capacity. Okay, so we've been talking about intentionality with your money. Budgeting, saving, investing, making conscious choices about where your dollars go. But there's another resource, one arguably even more precious, even more limited, that we often spend completely on autopilot. Let's talk about time. You hear it all the time. Time is money. And sure, there's truth to that. You trade your time for income. You invest time hoping for future rewards. But time isn't just like money. Money can be earned back. It can multiply. It can flow. Time, well, time only flows one way. Every second you spend is a second permanently gone. It's the ultimate non-renewable resource. Think of it like oxygen, essential, constantly consumed, and once it's gone, it's gone. You are, every single moment, exchanging your time for something. The question isn't if you're spending your time, but what you're spending it on. Are you exchanging hours scrolling mindlessly, chasing fleeting dopamine hits and digital validation? Are you trading precious evenings for endless binge-watching sessions that leave you feeling more drained than recharged? Or are you making different exchanges? Are you swapping pockets of time for learning a new skill that could boost your earning potential? Investing hours into building a side project that could grow into something substantial? Exchanging energy for exercise that fuels your body and mind? Or spending moments connecting deeply with people who genuinely uplift and support your growth? The difference these exchanges make over time is startling, even dramatic. Let's look at that example. Imagine person A spends, say, 2 hours each day on social media or passive consumption. That's 14 hours a week. Over a year, that's a whopping 728 hours traded for distraction. Now consider person B. They make a conscious shift. They spend 1 hour daily learning a new skill, maybe coding or digital marketing, and another hour exercising or working on a passion project. That's also 2 hours daily, 728 hours a year. They are exchanging their time for growth, health, and potential future income streams. Now, picture that difference compounded over 5, 10, 20 years. Person A has accumulated thousands of hours of fleeting entertainment. Person B has accumulated thousands of hours of increased skills, better health, potential income, and fulfilling creation. Their lives, their opportunities, their future selves diverge so profoundly based on these seemingly small daily time exchanges. It's like two people starting with the same budget, but one blows it on lottery tickets while the other invests it wisely. Here's the surprising, maybe even slightly uncomfortable insight. Your time is constantly being spent, whether you're conscious of it or not. It's like having money automatically withdrawn from your account for subscriptions you forgot about. You're losing the resource even if you're not actively doing something productive or enjoyable. Just sitting there waiting for inspiration? Time spent. Feeling bored and scrolling aimlessly? Time spent. The clock is always running, and it doesn't care if you're being intentional. Being deliberate, being intentional about your time exchange is just as critical, if not more so, than being intentional about your money exchange. Because you can't get time back. So, how do you start reclaiming this precious resource? How do you ensure your time isn't just draining away on unconscious expenses? This is where action comes in. Your action for this section, and I challenge you to truly commit to this. For the next 3 days, track how you spend your free time. And I mean really track it, in 30-minute blocks. Use a simple note in your phone, a spreadsheet, a piece of paper. Just jot down what you are doing. And after each 30-minute block, or at the end of the day, be brutally honest about the actual value you received from that chunk of time. Was it truly recharging your batteries? Was it genuinely productive towards a goal? Was it transition from previous section? Okay, so we've dug into understanding your spending habits, and perhaps even the true cost of lifestyle creep. Now, let's pivot to something equally, if not more critical to building wealth and achieving growth. How you spend your time. Because let's be honest, time is the ultimate non-renewable resource. and how you invest it dictates your potential returns just as much as financial investments. This brings us face to face with what I call the low-value time trap, a subtle but significant leak in the financial and personal growth pipeline, particularly for those with big ambitions. Think about it. You're driven, you're capable, you're building something, or aiming to climb the ladder. Your time, especially when focused and leveraged, has immense potential value. Yet, many people, perhaps even you, are constantly trapped doing low-value tasks. These are the tasks that eat away at your precious hours, but don't require your unique skills, strategic thinking, or creative energy, the things that truly move the needle. Maybe it's spending an hour wrestling with administrative paperwork that you absolutely dread, when that same hour could be spent connecting with a high-value client, strategizing your next big project, or creating a piece of content that could reach thousands. This isn't just inefficient, it's a poor, even damaging, value exchange for your time. Consider your personal life too. You might spend your entire Saturday, 4 hours or more, meticulously cleaning your house. It feels productive, right? You saved $100 you would have paid a cleaner. But what if those 4 hours could have been dedicated to a side hustle that could generate hundreds? Or what if that time spent recharging, truly relaxing, meant you were exponentially more effective and creative during the work week? The perceived saving of $100 is dwarfed by the potential lost opportunity and the depletion of your most valuable asset, your energy and focus. Here's the surprising truth that often gets overlooked. A real myth bust for the do-it-yourself mentality. Just because you can do something doesn't automatically mean you should. Your time, when viewed through the lens of earned flow zone principles, has a market rate. This rate isn't just your hourly salary, though that's a starting point. It's based on the highest value activity you could be doing with that hour. If you could spend an hour landing a $1,000 client, but instead spend it sorting emails that could be outsourced for $20, you just effectively lost $980 in potential value. Exchanging your high-value time for low-value tasks is a constant, insidious financial leak that holds back your progress more than you might realize. It's like using a Formula One car to deliver pizzas. Incredibly capable, but applied to the wrong task, it's a waste of its true power. This isn't about being lazy. It's about being strategic. It's about respecting your time enough to apply it where it yields the greatest return, financially and personally. To break free from this trap, you need to make a conscious effort to identify where you're bleeding valuable hours. So here's your challenge, your concrete action step phrased as a vital question. Ask yourself, what is one recurring task you do, whether weekly or daily, that you genuinely dislike, that takes significant time away from your core potential, and that absolutely does not require your unique, high-level skills or expertise? Identify just one to start. It could be scheduling social media posts, handling customer service emails, doing your own bookkeeping, or yes, even cleaning your home. Once you've identified that task, research how much it would realistically cost to delegate or automate it, even if only partially at first. Look at virtual assistants, specific software, or local services. Then, compare that cost to the potential value you could create. In terms of income generated, strategic leaps made, or even just mental energy saved for higher-level work, if you spent that time on your absolute highest value activity. This isn't just an exercise. It's potentially the first step in reclaiming your most valuable asset. The comparison is often eye-opening, revealing the true cost of doing it all yourself. It's time to stop being busy with low-value tasks and start being productive with high-value action. Transition to next section. Okay, let's dive into the heart of today's lesson, a fundamental shift that impacts every dollar you touch and every goal you set. This is where we move our thinking from reacting to scarcity to acting with strategy. It's section 8 in our journey, mindset from scarcity to strategy. Think about it like this. If you're trying to build a championship team, you can focus only on cutting player salaries and minimizing costs. Or you can focus on strategically investing in the right talent, training facilities, and coaching that will ultimately bring in bigger wins and revenue. Most people approach their personal finances stuck in that first mode, the scarcity mindset. This is that constant internal monologue that whispers, "I don't have enough," "Money is hard to get," or "I can't afford that." When you're operating from scarcity, your financial decisions become defensive and reactive. You see a course that could teach you a high-income skill, but your brain screams, "That's an expense. Money going out." You might see paying a little extra for a service that saves you hours, like grocery delivery or a virtual assistant for mundane tasks, and label it as frivolous spending, something only rich people do. The focus is solely on the costs of everything. Every dollar spent feels like a permanent loss, a brick removed from an already shaky wall. It's like trying to win a race by simply removing weight from your car, never considering upgrading the engine or tires. Now, contrast that with a strategic value exchange mindset. This perspective doesn't ignore costs entirely, but it fundamentally shifts the focus to the return or benefit. This benefit isn't always purely financial. It could be saving valuable time that you can then use to earn more, build a business, spend with family, or simply recharge. It could be investing in your skills or knowledge, that course which directly increases your earning potential. It could be paying for convenience, not because you're lazy, but because your time is worth more focused on high-value activities than waiting in line. In this mindset, you ask, what value does this bring me, financially, in terms of time saved, or in quality of life? You see paying for things as potential investments or strategic moves to optimize your most valuable resources. Here's the surprising, almost unsettling truth. Your internal mindset about money and value directly dictates your spending and earning behaviors. It's a potent cause and effect loop. A scarcity mindset doesn't just feel bad. It actively leads you to make decisions that perpetuate scarcity. You're so focused on what you can't spend that you miss opportunities to invest in what could help you earn more. You pinch pennies in ways that cost you dollars or hours. Conversely, a strategic, value-focused mindset encourages decisions that build wealth and freedom. You're willing to make calculated investments because you see the potential return, not just the upfront cost. You optimize for overall growth, not just immediate savings. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy based on your internal narrative. Breaking this pattern starts with awareness. You can't shift something you don't see. Try this for just one day. Become hyper-aware of your internal monologue surrounding money. Every single time you have a thought about spending, earning, saving, or investing, identify its source. Is that thought rooted in scarcity? Oh, that's too expensive. I can't afford it. Or strategy. Okay, what value would this provide? Is the return worth the cost? How could I structure my finances or earning to make this strategic investment possible? Just notice the pattern without judgment. You're not trying to change it yet. Just observe it. This one simple habit of conscious observation can be the catalyst that changes everything for how you interact with money. It shines a light on the invisible strings pulling your financial decisions. So, how does this principle of intentional value exchange actually look on the ground depending on where you are in your financial journey? Because let's be real, applying it as someone just starting out looks very different from someone who's built a bit more stability. If you're a beginner, maybe you're feeling the pinch, struggling to make ends meet, or just dipping your toes into the world of saving. For you, the highest value exchanges often involve stopping the leaks and building that solid foundation. Think of it like trying to fill a bucket with holes in the bottom. You're not going to make much progress pouring in water, your income, until you patch those leaks, unintentional spending. The classic examples here are those small, frequent expenses that add up significantly over time. That daily expensive coffee, the spontaneous lunches out, those little impulse buys that seem insignificant individually, but collectively drain your funds. You might be spending $5 to $10 for brief pleasure or convenience, which feels fine in the moment. But consciously choosing to cut out, say, that $7 daily coffee habit and bringing a thermos from home, that's exchanging $7 worth of momentary caffeine convenience for something far more impactful. Redirecting that saved $150 to $300 a month towards an emergency fund isn't just saving money. It's an exchange of present, fleeting pleasure for substantial future security and peace of mind. That, my friends, is a high-value exchange. Another critical one at this stage is aggressively paying down high-interest debt. Every dollar you put towards that credit card is exchanging present money for freedom from significant future interest payments. A massive value exchange that compounds over time, liberating your future income. Now, what about a mid-earner? You likely have more stability. The basic leaks might be plugged, and perhaps you have a small emergency fund. For you, intentional value exchange shifts. It's less about stopping basic leaks and more about optimizing where your surplus goes. It might involve cutting out lower-value consumption. Think multiple streaming subscriptions you barely use, unnecessary gadget upgrades, or expensive weekend activities that don't truly enrich your life. $30 a month for passive entertainment consumption. Instead, you exchange that $30 or $50 or $100 for something with a much higher return on value, like maxing out your retirement account or investing in a low-cost index fund. That's an exchange of present, lower-value consumption for compounding growth and genuine future financial freedom. It's trading a tiny bit of passive pleasure now for exponentially greater potential down the road. Here's the surprising insight, the game changer that applies at every level. The underlying principle is exactly the same. Whether you're a beginner or a mid-earner, you are consciously choosing to exchange your hard-earned money for things that offer the highest return on value at your current stage. It's not about deprivation, it's about optimization. It's about asking, what can this dollar do for me right now that will have the biggest positive impact on my financial future? For a beginner, That's often security and debt elimination. For a mid-earner, it shifts towards compounding growth and asset building. This brings us to a critical action step for you right now. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from making these high-value exchanges? Where are you habitually exchanging your money for low value simply because it's easy or comfortable? Here's your practical challenge. Choose one expense category where you strongly suspect you're getting low value for your money. Whether it's dining out, subscriptions, impulse shopping, or something else. For the next month, commit to reducing your spending in that specific category by 50%. Just 50%. And then, the crucial part, immediately redirect that saved money towards a high-value goal. For beginners, that's likely your emergency fund or high-interest debt. For mid-earners, perhaps accelerating debt payoff or boosting investment contributions. This one habit, conscious reduction and intentional redirection, changed everything for me. Because it forces you to see money not just as something you spend, but as a tool for intentional exchange towards your best future. Okay, let's transition from understanding the core principle of value exchange to applying it differently, depending on your current stage and ambition. If you're past the initial savings phase, if you're actively building something significant, whether that's scaling a business, aggressively growing your investment portfolio with active strategies, or climbing the ladder in a high-impact career where your unique skills command premium value, you fit the profile of the ambitious builder. And for you, the value exchange principle takes on a fascinating new dimension. It's no longer about agonizing over whether to make coffee at home or grab that $5 latte, though awareness is always good. For the ambitious builder, the focus shifts dramatically to strategic allocation of larger sums and, absolutely crucially, leveraging your most finite and valuable resource, your time. Think about it. You're operating at a level where your hours can generate hundreds, perhaps thousands of dollars, directly or indirectly, through strategic work. Spending those hours on low-value tasks is quite literally costing you a fortune in opportunity. This is where the principle becomes counterintuitive for many. You realize that sometimes the highest value exchange involves spending money to free up your high-value time. Here's a classic example: doing your own taxes or handling all your bookkeeping. Maybe it saves you $1,000 by not hiring a professional. That's a direct exchange of $1,000 for your time. But if those 20 to 30 hours you spent wrestling with receipts could have been used to land a major client, refine a new product feature, or strategize a key growth initiative, actions that could potentially yield tens of thousands in revenue, suddenly, that $1,000 you saved looks incredibly expensive. You traded time worth potentially $500 to $1,000 per hour for a task worth perhaps $30 to $50 per hour in the market. It's like using a race car to deliver pizza. You can do it, but you're missing the point of the vehicle's capability entirely. Or consider investments in your infrastructure, marketing campaigns, automation software that streamlines workflows, or hiring talented people to handle operational details. You exchange dollars, X, for increased reach, marketing, multiplied efficiency, software, or expanded capacity, hiring. These aren't just expenses, they are investments in leverage. The surprising insight for ambitious builders is this: your highest value exchanges often involve spending money or time to acquire leverage. You are doing things that multiply your own efforts, remove bottlenecks, and allow you to concentrate your unique genius on the activities that have exponential returns, not linear ones. Stop being the expert bricklayer if your value is in designing the skyscraper. This one habit changed everything for me and for countless builders I've coached. Learning to buy back my high-value time by strategically spending money on low-value tasks. So for you, the ambitious builder, here is your action prompt. Identify one task or area in your work or business that consumes significant time or mental energy but doesn't directly generate high-value results like revenue, growth, or significant impact. It might be admin, specific research, content scheduling, initial sales outreach, or something else entirely. Now, ask yourself, how could you exchange money through outsourcing, investing in software, or hiring support to free up your high-value time from this specific task? Start modeling the potential return on investment. If spending $500 a month buys you 10 hours, and you know those 10 hours focused on strategic work could realistically generate $2,000, that's a 4x return on your spend. It's time to build your empire by using your resources, especially your time, like the high-value asset they are. So you've started thinking about value, about what your money and your time are really doing. Now, let's talk about what happens when you apply intent to that awareness. When you consciously start applying the principle of intentional value exchange, seeing every dollar and every hour as a conscious decision about where to allocate valuable resources, something truly powerful starts to unfold. It's like turning on a radar for waste. You stop those unconscious leaks, the ones where money and time just seem to vanish without a trace, absorbed by things that bring little to no lasting value. Think of it as plugging tiny holes in your financial and temporal buckets. Once you identify those leaks, you can begin to redirect those liberated resources. Money that was previously spent on impulse buys or subscriptions you don't use can now be channeled towards eliminating high-interest debt or invested in assets that actually work for you. Hours you used to spend scrolling mindlessly or passively consuming content can be reinvested in learning a new skill, building a side project, or nurturing relationships that enrich your life. These aren't just one-off fixes. These are small, daily shifts, conscious choices made moment by moment. And this is where the magic, the true, surprising insight kicks in. It's the compound effect of these intentional decisions. People often underestimate the power of tiny, consistent actions. They look for the massive lottery win or the overnight success, but the real wealth and growth are built brick by brick, decision by decision. The money you stop wasting today isn't just saved. It's now positioned to earn returns or save you interest, month after month, year after year. The hours you redirect from passive consumption to active building or learning don't just disappear. They build skills that increase your earning potential, create assets that generate income, and open doors to opportunities you never knew existed. This cumulative impact is staggering. Consider the simple, relatable example. Someone who consciously decides to save just $10 a day by packing lunch instead of buying it, brewing coffee at home, or cutting out a small daily expense. That's $3,650 saved per year. Now, compare that to someone who unconsciously spends that same $10 a day without a second thought. If the saver consistently invests that $3,650 per year, earning a modest average return over, say, 20 years, that seemingly small daily difference doesn't just add up to $73,000 in savings, 3,650 times 20. Thanks to compounding, where earnings start earning their own returns, that seemingly small difference can easily grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's just with $10 a day. Imagine the impact of intentionality applied across your entire spending and time budget. The power isn't in the single transaction. It's in the momentum built by thousands of conscious decisions over time. It's the difference between drifting and navigating. This transformation isn't always easy, but it is profoundly simple in principle. It starts with awareness and follows with intention. Ask yourself, think back to where you were financially or personally just 5 years ago. What small, unconscious exchanges of money or time might have held you back, keeping you stagnant, or even moving backward? On the flip side, what small, intentional exchanges, maybe picking up a book instead of the remote, or transferring a tiny amount to savings automatically, moved you forward, even just a little? How can you identify those forward-moving intentional choices and amplify them, making them the new default in your daily life? This one shift from unconscious drifting to intentional navigation changes everything. We've been on quite a journey together in the Earn Flow Zone, peeling back the layers of how money and value really work. We started by uncovering the baffling money vanishing act, that feeling that cash just disappears without a trace. We then armed ourselves with the power of tracking, turning vague feelings into concrete insight. That led us to the critical principle. Every dollar and every hour represents an intentional value exchange. We busted the myth that cheap always equals value and learned to think strategically about where we spend our resources, focusing on outcomes that truly matter. We saw how these ideas apply across the board, whether you're just starting out, cruising as a mid-earner, or pushing hard as an ambitious builder, and how even small intentional exchanges compound over time. Now, let's bring it all together with the ultimate question. Where do you direct your value? Because here's the core takeaway, the big one that changes everything. Your financial future, your freedom to choose, your ability to build the life you actually want. It all hinges on this single decision point. Are you consciously directing your valuable resources, your money, your time, your precious energy, towards outcomes that genuinely align with your goals, your deepest values, and the future you're trying to create? Or are you passively letting them leak away, drip by drip, towards low-value consumption, endless distraction, and things that barely register a blip on the radar of your long-term aspirations? This isn't just semantics. It's the difference between feeling in control and feeling like life is just happening to you. People often work incredibly hard, putting in the hours, earning good money, but still feel stuck on a hamster wheel. Why? Because they haven't mastered the art of directing their value. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, you're not building up reserves. Your goals remain distant, frustrating aspirations, because your daily actions, your unconscious exchanges, aren't aligned with them. You might look back in 5, 10, 20 years and wonder where all that potential, all that hard work, all that money actually went. It didn't vanish into thin air. That's the surprising truth. It was just exchanged, often unconsciously, for things that didn't truly matter or contribute to moving you forward. It's the financial equivalent of scrolling social media for 3 hours when you plan to learn a new skill. The time isn't gone. It was just exchanged for dopamine hits and algorithm-fueled rabbit holes. But here's the empowering part. If you choose to apply this lesson, even imperfectly, you reclaim your power instantly. You stop being a passive recipient of financial flows and time drains. You start making deliberate choices. This is where the shift happens. You exchange mindless spending for mindful investing, not just in the market, but in yourself. You exchange wasted time for valuable skills or meaningful experiences. You swap scarcity fears fueled by unconscious leakage for strategic action driven by conscious direction. Your money and time don't just happen to you anymore. They become powerful tools you wield intentionally. It's the difference between eating whatever is convenient versus preparing a meal that nourishes you and fuels your body for peak performance. Both require resources, money, time, energy. But the directed value exchange yields a vastly different outcome. So, here is your single doable step today. No big, overwhelming financial plan needed right now. Just one conscious choice. Before you spend another dollar on anything non-essential, seriously, anything you don't absolutely need for basic survival today, or before you automatically engage in your go-to time-killing activity, pause. Just for a few seconds, take a breath. And ask yourself this question, honestly. What value am I truly getting from this exchange? And is this the highest and best use of this resource right now for my future self? Listen to the answer. Then, make one conscious choice today based on that answer. Maybe it's deciding not to buy that extra coffee and transferring that $5 to savings. Maybe it's closing that distracting app and spending 15 minutes learning something new online instead. That one conscious choice? That's where your flow begins.